Hey, good evening and welcome back to the channel, everybody. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to be attending the Chicago Sports Spectacular. It's a card show that I've gone to every time they've had it over the course of the last 3 years. And it's actually, I've been there at least every time they've held the show since I've joined YouTube. So kind of to commemorate that, I decided to actually show you my top 10 cards that I picked up at that show. They're predominantly vintage. It's not a show where I really go out and seek out a lot of modern cards. In fact, I find that to be kind of very distracting, the amount of modern cards that are there. And plus, I have such a narrow interest with modern cards, I have a hard time being able to locate those so easily on tables that are just littered with cards from all different kinds of sports and all different kinds of brands from all different kinds of years over the course of like the last just 3 or 4 years, let alone going back to like 20 years or more, where that's kind of the sweet spot that I like to look at for a lot of modern cards. So I spent my time going through a lot of the vintage tables and the vintage dealers, and there's plenty to be able to find at this Chicago Sports Spectacular, which is a fairly large regional show that we have here. Again, coming up in 2 weeks, there's autographed guests that are there each and every day, and they're pretty big names. Some of the big names you'll see again at the National for sure, like we have Reggie Jackson coming this time. But there's also a lot of good Chicago players that have played here locally, and I'm hoping to be able to go see Andre Dawson and also Ryan Sandberg in an effort to be able to get them to sign their rookie cards at the show on the Sunday when they're signing. So as I mentioned, I wanted to be able to kind of take a moment to kind of reflect on all the times I've attended the Chicago Sports Spectacular, which doesn't go much past the beginning of me being on YouTube, so it's not a long list. And I went through and wrote down a lot of the cards that I've picked up over that time, and I wanted to share with you my top 10. So I had a hard time narrowing it down, so I had a list of about 18 to start with. So I left with about 4 cards that are sort of honorable mentions that I'll go over first, and then we'll start counting down 10 all the way to 1. So let's turn the camera around and I'll go through the list. All right, now we have the camera turned around. Let's start with the cards that didn't make the top 10, but are ones that I wanted to be able to showcase nevertheless. Let's start with a 1935 Bucky Harris from the Diamond Star set. I picked that one up just this past March. Came in a 3.5, Hall of Fame manager. Certainly a beautiful card. Does have some print lines on there, which is part of the reason the grade is what it is. This one I picked up 2 years ago and graded myself. Actually, it didn't get a grade. It just got encapsulated and authenticated. It's the 1948 Bowman Ralph Kiner. This one, they said it was evidence of trimming, and I guess that's possible. I just think it got cut really bad at the factory. I'm not sure what the issue is with the cut, but that was part of the reason it didn't crack the top 10 on my list, was because of that little flaw. I knew that I had the issue at the time. I didn't know it was what exactly it was. I thought it was a factory misprint. Might still be. Here's one other one I graded myself, a 1953 Bowman Monty Irvin. My first Monty Irvin that I got in my collection. Here's a theme with the other 2 cards here too. We have another 1953 Bowman. This was the Eddie Matthews that came back minimum size not met, which I think is about the same size card as the one you just saw here. But for some reason, that one did not get a score. And the final one on this honorable mention list is one I just picked up last November. Also from the set, 1953 Bowman set, is the Warren Spahn in a PSA 2. So hoping to be able to show, maybe get a few more of the 1953 Bowman stars and maybe one big diamond star. That's kind of on my list to kind of consider. All right, so we'll probably do 3 at a time here, and then I'll just leave 1 out for the final card. So let's get started here. Starting with number 10. So this one I picked up when I attended the Chicago Sports Spectacular before I was on YouTube. And it is the 1935 Diamond Star of Carl Hubble. Believe it or not, I got it, I think, for like $50. I think at the time, maybe $55. Might sell for a little bit more now, even in the condition that it's in. I love it, and it's one of my favorite cards in the set. All right, coming in at number 9. One I picked up 2 Marches ago, I believe, is the 1952 Bowman, Stan the Man Musial. Card you've seen featured on the channel a few times. This next one, card number 8, I picked it up at the very first Chicago Sports Spectacular that I attended while on YouTube. It's my very first, one of my very first videos. You go all the way back. It's a 1953 Roy Campanella, one I just showed briefly last weekend. All right, so that is 10, 9, and 8. So card number 7. It's one I also graded myself. I can't remember exactly when I picked this up, but I did pick it up since I've been on YouTube. It is the 1948 Bowman Johnny Mize. Came back a 4.5. So I was very happy with that score. It's part of the reason it is on the list. All right, so now we are up to number 6 on the list. We're gonna move Stan the Man. Hi, Stan. Another Diamond Star. We have Kyler, who I picked up this past March at the Chicago Sports Spectacular in a PSA 4. All-Star right there, Hall of Famer. Number 5 on the list, another card that I picked up and got graded myself. Roy for a minute. It is a Hall of Fame rookie card of Harmon Killebrew. It cost me all of maybe $50 and then $15 all in on grading. And there you go. All right, so now we are down to 4 on the list. We're gonna go back to the 1930s and to the Diamond Star set to show you my highest graded Hall of Fame player, and this is Rick Farrell. I think I picked it up 2 Marches ago. There you go. A couple Diamond Stars featured there. Here we have number 3 on the list. This one I also picked up ungraded and graded it myself. And that is the 1953 Yogi Berra. Card I featured a few times on the channel. Just number 3 on my list. All right, and probably the best deal I've ever got at the National is card number 2. And this was going to be a card from the 1934 Gowdy set. It's the Chick Haffey card in a PSA 3. All right. So I'll put those guys, let them retreat to the background, and we'll go to number 1. Number 1 probably won't be a surprise when I show it to you, given that it is a player I collect, and given that I've shared this card several times on the channel. It's my favorite card probably from this particular set, maybe of this player as well, and that is the 1953 Bowman Stan Musial. So that is it. So I look forward to kind of continuing to build on this collection. I don't have super expensive ones from this particular show just because I try to get quantity when I'm trying to be able to go to these shows and I'm trying to pick up several cards I need for my set. So I haven't really killed the bank on any of these purchases, but I am pretty pleased with all of these cards that I shared with you now, and I hope you guys kind of enjoyed them. And if you're in the area, I hope you're able to come join us in 2 weeks at the show. I'll be there on Friday. I'll be there on Sunday as well. And I know there's more information probably going to be shared through Jason at Everyday Card Collectors channel about the show itself, because I think he's trying to get together a little bit of a larger YouTube community get together, of which I don't know all the details yet too, so it'll be a little bit of surprise at this point for me as well. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions about the show. If you're able to join us in 2 weeks, I look forward to seeing you. All right, have a great rest of your weekend, guys.